Hello and welcome to your March 2022 forecast readings with me, Intuitive Rene. Always such an honor and privilege to be here for you, and thank you for giving me the space to create this kind of content that keeps you inspired, motivated, and enthusiastic about life. So we are looking at March 2022. I actually can't quite wrap my head around that, but anyway, um, what this video is a series of 12 individual videos that are the same but completely different. Basically, I record a single video for each sign of the zodiac using the same layout or the same spread, the same deck of cards, but obviously the cards that come through, the messages that come through, and the reading that comes through will be completely different for each sign of the zodiac. So there are 12 identical spreads or 12 identical readings, and you get to choose one based on your sun sign. And if you know yourself, your astrology, and you know your rising sign and your moon sign, you're welcome to watch those as well to get other aspects or just another angle on your own life and your own what's coming through for you during the month of March 2022. So these videos, these taroscopes as I call them, they are released the week before the new month. So in the last week of the previous month, you will get them, which is why you're now getting the March readings. And the way that I suggest that you work with this is obviously before the month starts itself, watch the video to get an idea of what's in store for you, what you need to be aware of, what you need to know about, what's coming up for you, so that you can almost plan and be prepared for anything. And then during the month, at least once, I would say about halfway through, but anytime that you find yourself facing a challenge or facing a problem, come back to the video and look at it, watch it again, even if you just pick out certain aspects of it, just to remind you and to help you stay focused on whatever it is that you need to stay focused on. So before I push the record button, I do all the behind the work scenes of connecting to spirit and setting the intentions and all of that other kind of good stuff, and making sure that I set the intentions correctly for each one of you. So it is a collective reading, so it's for everybody who has the same sign of the zodiac, but each one of you will hear something different through the reading, and that's the intention that I set, and that's the way that I work with spirit. We're using the tarot just as a tool, just to help formulate, if I can say, the stuff that needs to come across. And for this month, for the month of March, I am working with two amazing decks. The first one I'm going to work with is if I can get the glare off, is the Enchanted Map Oracle. And the Enchanted Map Oracle is going to give us our theme for the month ahead. And it's the first card that we're going to draw through the reading. And like I said, I do love working with this particular deck. This is such an old deck. I think it's like one of the first that ever joined my collection from the Oracle point of view. And I mean, it is so old and grubby and dirty and fabulous. So I love working with Enchanted Map to give us our theme for the month ahead. And then, getting quite excited, I'm going to work with the Spacious Tarot. So the Spacious Tarot is a normal, typical tarot deck, but from a different perspective. The whole deck, every single card, if I remember correctly, there's no people in the deck, so it's almost like from your eyes. Okay, so it's if you're looking at whatever's in front of you, but from your eyes or from your vantage point, it's the Spacious Tarot. It's the space in front of you. So because we're doing a forward look, because we're looking at the month ahead, I thought working with the Spacious Tarot, and it's such a beautiful deck. The artwork is just exquisite. So quite looking forward to working with Spacious Tarot as well. And of course, they're a beautiful sized deck. It's not overly large and difficult for me to shuffle and to work with. They're a beautiful size, perfect size as far as I'm concerned. So those are the two decks that I'm going to be working with. And as I mentioned earlier on, I am doing quite a detailed spread. I've got 10 cards or 10 card positions. So I'm going to shuffle and lay out 10 cards and read. It is the same format that I used in February. So if you enjoyed the format I used, then we're going to work with the same format for the month of March. And we're going to lay out the 10 cards and just see what comes through for every one of you. This particular intro is a generic intro. So I'm recording this intro once, and I'm just going to add it into every single video that I create hereafter for the March Taroscopes. And I just do it to save myself repetitive talking, and also because when I start recording and I start like with Aries and move all the way through to Pisces, I get in the zone, okay? And because of that, I want to just, when I'm doing those readings, just get straight into it and bring through whatever information that you need. If you enjoy this kind of content and if you enjoy these taroscopes, I am just a small channel here on YouTube. I'm nobody big and fancy and fabulous. So the best way to support and to show appreciation for what I do is to give the video a thumbs up and a comment below. Get all your friends to come and watch. But the more you interact with the video, the more you're letting YouTube know that this is good content and other people need to see it. So YouTube will recommend it to other people, and that's the best way to support me, and also just to show me that that you do enjoy what I do. So thank you so much, and let's get straight into your reading. Right, Aries, let's get into your reading and see what March 2022 has in store for you. So I am shuffling the the Enchanted Map Oracle. I forgot for a second what it was called. Enchanted Map Oracle. We're looking for a single card that's going to be the theme for the month ahead for all Aries energies. Apparently we're taking that one. I do apologize for the glare. It will be temporary. Let's have a look and see March 2022 for all Aries energy, what's in store. And the card we have is Sad Embrace. You know what? I like immediately I get a positive. I mean, you know me, I'm the what do they call it? The forever optimist. And I always do get very optimistic in everything that comes through. Sad Embrace is not necessarily a bad card, but what it is saying to you is we need to acknowledge whatever it is that's going on in our lives. As an Aries myself, we have to recognize that we're not always big on emotions, and if we are, it's typically not the sad emotions. Aries are normally the people, the initiators, the starters, the go-ahead, the people that want to create great experiences. We don't often take time to do the lessons learned. We don't often take time to sort of try and understand and comprehend the things that we've been through and the things that we've accomplished. I do think with this particular card with Sad Embrace that it's sort of reminding us, Aries, that we need to acknowledge the things that haven't gone according to plan. We're going into month 3 of the year, and maybe you've had a tough year so far. Maybe it's been a really, really difficult period, and this is just Spirit saying, let's take a minute. Let's just take a minute to feel the feelings. Let's take a minute to feel the pain. Let's take a minute to acknowledge the sadness, the disappointment, the hurt, the betrayals, whatever it may be. Because if you don't, you may find it completely overwhelming you. Now, there's a couple of things that are standing out to me. The fact that this card has got so much blue, and blue is representative of tears in this particular case, or water. And then I've also chosen to use the Spacious Tarot this month, which has also got that blue. So it's almost like Aries Spirit is saying that the emotions are going to be running quite deep. The emotions are going to be running quite strong. So let's not ignore what we're feeling. Let's learn how to communicate and how to express when we're not feeling anything but happy. Because I'm going to change the Sad Embrace to represent frustration and all the other kind of emotions, and not just sadness. Because again, Aries, we're so good at putting on that brave face and being assertive and saying, right, let's get things done, let's get things moving, when maybe what we should be doing is taking a minute to just catch up with ourselves and to acknowledge the sad feelings, and not just always only focusing on the happy ones. All right, so we're going to keep Sad Embrace there, and obviously as we do the rest of the reading, we're going to get more information around Sad Embrace. We'll sort of have a better understanding of what the Sad Embrace actually is referencing, referring to, and acknowledging for us. Okay, so I am now shuffling the Spacious Tarot, such a beautiful deck. Let's give it a shuffle. I'm going to lay out 10 cards for the reading that we're doing this month, connecting to all Aries energies, Aries on the collective, whether it be Sun, Moon, or Rising, month of March 2022. Right, I think the cards are duly shuffled, and I'm going to cut the deck over there. Let's have a look, Aries, and see what we have. You see, there comes some more of that sadness stuff. Just going to lay out the 10, and then I will start with the reading. Swords, swords, swords. Gosh, Aries, looks like we are going to have to pay attention. It looks like we are going to have to pay attention. Okay. And the more swords are coming through. Right, I think I've counted correctly. Okay, so Aries, I'm just putting the deck aside. Let's go through this. Okay, so first off, Aries, before we've even looked at anything, the fact that we have got so many swords is absolutely a clear indication that there is a lot going on. I am also going to say to you that everything that's going on for us is all in the head, okay? Because swords is the suit of thinking, of the suit of the mind, the suit of the intellect, and the suit of the stuff that happens inside the head. So starting off with where we're starting out, we've got the Nine of Swords. Now, in traditional tarot, the Nine of Swords is what we call the nightmare card, but it's the card of the fears and the insecurities and the doubts that we have within our mind that seem to start coming through to the fore. But they only seem to come through when, like in the middle of the night, when we're sleeping, when we're supposed to be calm and restful and peaceful. That's when our anxieties and our stresses start coming through. So going back to the sad embrace as well, it's clear that we are going to have some concerns and worries during the month. This is a reminder as well that we mustn't allow our insecurities, fears, and those kind of stresses. We mustn't allow them to overpower us. We're going to have to stick deep. We're going to dig deep and stick deep. Listen to me. We're going to have to dig deep, and we're going to have to find our way through this maze of challenges. Now, the interesting thing here with our second card. So this is the challenge for the month ahead, and it's the fact that we're not seeing correctly. It's the fact that, the light is blocked. So if you can, I don't know if it's going to come through on camera, but we've got the sunrise coming through here. But the way that these two swords are positioned, it's like it's blocking the light. So when I look at these two together, it's almost saying to us that our insecurities, our fears, our doubts, and our stresses are what is blocking us from seeing the truth, seeing the light, or seeing the happiness, or seeing the success. So Aries, it's very important that we embrace our feelings, because that's what we covered here with our theme. Acknowledge, number one is to acknowledge, number two is to embrace it, number three is to not allow it to overrule us or to overrun us. We mustn't get caught up into those kind of thoughts, into those kind of stresses, into those kind of anxieties. Okay, so it looks like the month is going to be a month of worry, of stress, and of anxiety, and it's because we're allowing our worries and stress and anxieties to block out the light and to prevent us from seeing. Now, it's interesting because as soon as I look at this next card, I see the light coming through. Can you see there? So we've got the same kind of collection of swords, but then suddenly the light is piercing through in the background. And you know what? This is again confirmation from Spirit that we mustn't focus on this. We mustn't focus on this kind of collection of worries and collection of stress. We need to look for the light, because even in this particular one, we can't. That light is so blocked. I mean, eventually as the sun comes up, we will obviously be able to see more of it. But at this stage, at this point, we're definitely blocked by that. And Spirit is saying to, again, it's just a confirmation. It's just a reminder. Don't allow yourself to get overrun by the anxiety. Now, just to look at this particular card in a bit more detail. It is the Six of Swords. And the Six of Swords is traditionally depicted by a lady in a boat. And she's made a decision saying that her life, her reality, and her circumstance no longer work for her, no longer appeal to her, and she wants to move on. So she gets into a boat with all her little possessions, and she's like saying, take me anywhere, just get me out of here, okay? And the story of the Six of Swords is saying that, just because you're moving from one place to another, don't always assume that any other place is better than where you are. It's about having things into perspective and not setting unrealistic goals and expectations for yourself. The fact that we've got this light shining through here, again, I think it's confirmation from Spirit that things are going to be better, okay? That the way things are at the moment, the stress and the anxiety and the concern and whatever that we're going to be having in the month of March, it's going to be short term. It's going to be short term. It's not going to last. It's not going to stay like that forever. So don't allow it to grab hold of you and to pull you down. All right, good. How did we get to this place? Okay, because how did all of this happen? I mean, where were we when all of this happened? And the card that we have to represent the past is the High Priestess. So if we look at this, we've got this beautiful conch shell on a ocean shore. So here's the shore, and there's the waters coming up, the waves coming up. And inside of the conch shell is another whole universe, okay? So it's almost like it's always been inside of us. Because the High Priestess is about the inner knowing, about the intuition, about trusting and believing in the self. So what this is saying to us, Aries, is that we've known for a while that the stress was coming. We've known for a while that things aren't maybe as great as we would want or like them to be. It's not that we've ignored it, but maybe we haven't had access to this inner world, this inner situation, and we've had to wait for it to come out and to reveal itself. So what brought us here? How did we get to this place that we are at? it's almost like just waiting for the tides to come in. It was inevitable. Inevitable is a terrible word to use, but it's almost like we couldn't avoid it forever. Just to remind you again about the sad embrace, it's about just acknowledging the negative feelings, acknowledging the stress, acknowledging the emotions that we are going through. The support that is available to us, and this one just really tickles me, because Eight of Swords, this white sword that you see over there, is the sword that represents the situation. All of these other black swords that we see over here, they're just there, all right? If we can say that this white one here, it's the one that stands out, it's the one that's different from the others, that is the one that depicts us in this particular context. And you can see how everything is snowed in, everything is snow white as such, except for the tree and except for the swords that we have that are different, that are standing out. So the Eight of Swords is the card that says to you that sometimes you feel like you've got no option. Sometimes you feel like you're trapped, caged, stuck, tied up as such. But the truth of the matter is, you are a sword. You are sharp. You are double-edged. You've got so much strength in your favor. But what you need to do is you need to find a way of using that. So it's almost about using your own resources, your own tenacity, your own strength, your own abilities to cut yourself free. You've got choices. You've always got choices. I am an absolute firm believer in that we always have choices. But the choices that you have is, are you going to feel sorry for yourself? Give in to your stresses, fears, and emotions, and say, oh well, this is my problem, or are you actually going to do something about it? And this is the card that says to you, the only limit and restriction that you have is that of your mind. So if you, and just to put all the cards into perspective again, looking at what we've covered here, so when you acknowledge, because that's what Sad Embrace wants us to do, when we acknowledge the pain and suffering, when we acknowledge the disappointments, the stresses, and the anxieties that we are going through, we are then able to see the light coming through. And when we focus on that light coming through and recognize that movement and change is necessary, that's when this whole inner world, this inner universe, is going to reveal itself and show itself, which will give us the strength, the courage, and everything that we need in order to break free from whatever is holding us back. Okay. And then card number 6 is, what are we moving towards? And here we have this beautiful bear. And look how he's standing tall, he's standing strong, he's standing confident, and he's holding a huge big piece of money. So I think, Aries, this is Spirit saying that you may have some financial troubles this month, that there may be a little bit of concern around tangibles, okay? So money is a tangible, our stuff is a tangible, so there may be some kind of disappointment, some kind of sadness around money. So if you've been waiting for a particular contract to come through, or a particular payment to come through, or been working towards something, there may be delays, or there may be, and the reason why I'm calling it delays is because we've got movement here. Okay, we've got movement here, and then here we've got this beautiful bear who is standing up tall, standing up strong, and I love the fact that he's in an open clearing. So there is the challenge, that forest in the background, that mountain in the background, those are the challenges. But the bear has come through that, and he's now standing in this huge big open field, and in this open field he has freedom, he has everything his heart desires, and so much more. So Aries, this is again confirmation from Spirit that if you allow your worries and your stresses and your anxieties to overwhelm you, you're going to be limiting and restricting yourself, okay? And you're never going to free yourself from whatever it is that's holding you captive. But when you acknowledge the feelings, remember, we're embracing. When we acknowledge our feelings and say, okay, you know what? Things haven't gone according to plan, and that's okay. I'm allowed to be angry. I'm allowed to be frustrated. I'm allowed to be disappointed. I'm allowed to be whatever it is that I am. And it's okay, but you're not allowing yourself to succumb to that. You're giving yourself a chance to have the feelings, and then you're saying, right, what are we doing about it? Because it's simple. Remove the swords from the snow, and suddenly the light is there. If something's blocking your way, remove it. If you're feeling like somebody has held you captive and stopping you there, use the services, the tools, and the skills that you have to set yourself free. There is nothing holding you captive except what's in your mind. Okay. So, just to bring this beautiful Child of Swords into the picture. So Child of Swords in traditional tarot would be the Page of Swords. Page of Swords is somebody who's quite inquisitive. All right, inquisitive, I think, is a lovely word. So here we have a crow. Now, I don't know what the crow's doing. I really don't know. Is he curious by his own feet? Is he curious by his shadow? Because I can see there's quite a distinct shadow happening there. Or is he curious with the snow? Like, what is the crow doing? Has he seen something shiny in the snow? And he's like saying, what is it? What is it? And he's brave enough, strong enough, curious enough to dig, to look. Okay, but maybe what he doesn't realize is what he's seeing is a reflection of sword. Okay, so the Child of Swords, to me, it's somebody who is curious. It's somebody who is curious enough to dig a little. And I think this is what Spirit is saying that we need to be. And I think Aries, typically we are seen that way. People know that Aries act first and think later. We do, we tend to jump in both feet and then go, oh wow, what are we doing? How do we change the situation? So again, I do think this is confirmation from Spirit that yes, that's exactly the way that we are seen and perceived, and that is exactly the way that we need to react. How do we see ourselves though? And it's interesting. Let's actually put these two together because they do speak an interesting story. So this is how people perceive us. And Spirit saying this is how we should be. But this is how we feel. Now, can you see here, we've got all these kind of wavy lines, and here on this particular card, we've got straight lines, and we've got almost like well planned and well strategized, and everything angles, and even at the top, I don't think it's going to come through on the camera, but there's even a line coming to the point, and then it moves out in those directions. So it's very interesting the way that these two are coming through. So Spirit is saying we need to be a little bit curious. We need to sort of investigate everything that comes our way, and we need to not expect everything to be so precise and to be so perfect. We need to be open to the fact that wavy lines work just as well as straight lines sometimes. And we need to not limit and restrict, because that's what we've got over here, is all the limits and the restrictions. We mustn't limit and restrict ourselves in any way. We need to be a little bit curious, a little bit silly, a little bit climb out of our comfort zone and going with the flow, and not always expecting everything to be just perfect. Okay, interesting indeed. Now, with this one over here we have the Four of Wands. Four of Wands, I mean, I can't take my eyes off the sparkles, okay? So to me, it reminds me of those sparkles you get on a Christmas cake, on a birthday cake, that we do for kids. We put the sparkles on it like it burns for a little bit, and it's so exciting, like little mini fireworks. That's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing those sparks. Now, they are sparks of excitement. They are sparks of commitment, sparks of joy. And the Four of Wands is the card of stability and security and, strong foundations and all of those kind of things. And I think, again, this is what Spirit is saying. Everything that we're doing is to create this for ourselves and for our families and for our loved ones. Everything that we do, this is the purpose behind everything, is that magic on our strong foundations and the world that we live in. We want to keep ourselves strong and secure. We don't want to allow ourselves to be, influenced by anything else. Everything that we do has a bigger purpose, and it's also for commitment and longevity. That's what it's all about. So, Aries, I have got one card left, and I'm sort of holding off on it for a second, because so far, up until here, the first 5 cards that we did, 6 cards including that one, have not been fabulous. Okay, they talk about stress, and nobody wants to know that there's a month of stress coming up. Nobody wants to know that. But the fact that we have this Wheel of Fortune over here, I'm going to pick it up and show you the card in a second, but the fact that we have the Wheel of Fortune over here is saying to you that you can't actually skip this. We need this. We've been burying, hiding, suppressing some kind of sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment, hurt. There's something that's been sitting within us. So maybe you've expected somebody to behave differently, treat you differently, respond to you differently, and maybe they haven't done so. And you're at a point now where you're feeling like really it's just all getting a little bit too much. So this is Spirit saying to you, acknowledge that, okay? Speak out. If somebody has hurt you, betrayed you, whatever it may be, say something to them. And if you can't say something to them, or if you don't want to say something to them, say something to somebody else. Share the emotion. Share the feeling, share the experience with somebody who may comprehend and understand what it is that you're going through. But do not try and tackle this on your own, okay? Don't do that, because it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help you. But we need to feel the feelings. We need to have the experiences. We need to recognize what it is we're going through. And then Once we've done that, we can start standing up for ourselves, and we can start feeling confident, and we can start going with the flow and not expecting everything to be 100% perfect. We'll be okay with a little bit of crazy and a little bit of whatever it may be, while working towards our perfection and developing the foundations that we need, that we want, and that we deserve. So our last card here for the month of March, we have this beautiful Wheel of Fortune card. So immediately when you look at it, your eyes are drawn to this spiral. So a spiral is a thing that doesn't have a beginning or an end. It's like a circle, but it goes on and on. And as we venture further into the spiral, so we experience so much more. The Wheel of Fortune is also known as the Karma card. Okay, and the Wheel of Fortune is telling you that life goes in cycles. It goes like this, and good you do today, you will have a positive impact on you later, just like bad things you did before will have a negative effect on you later. So it's almost about like what you put in is what you get out, and this is what Spirit are wanting us to acknowledge. So it's not saying that we've done bad and that we deserve this, but it's saying that life can't always be positive. Life can't always be only good stuff. We have to accept the good with the bad. We have to accept the ups and the downs. And again, for us Aries, let's focus on the feelings. Let's focus on the disappointments. Let's deal with it now. And it's interesting as well. I just want to point out, obviously, being March, Aries birthdays start towards the end of the month. So, come the 22nd, 21st of the month, we start going into Aries season. And it's almost like this is Spirit preparing us and saying, right, before our birthdays, before the anniversary of our Earth existence, let's start processing. Okay, let's start processing our feelings and processing our emotions and dealing with anything that we have had locked away and suppressed for the last 12 months. And let's work through that so that we can come out of it feeling strong, feeling capable, and ready to embrace the year that's coming. All right. So Aries, my friends, with love and blessings from my heart to yours. And until we connect again, take care.